I know you've waited for me here so long to see me since I've been gone. And so as these years roll on, I always come back to where I belong, my hometown life. And have you noticed every way I've changed? 'Cause to me you simply stayed the same. But every time I walk away, you leave a little piece of you inside of me. It made me who I am today. My hometown life, its spirits inside. My hometown's alive and filled with the light unfaded that I created. My hometown's alive. I walk around these streets and stare at the things that remind me of me. I take it all inside and breathe in the air that's so unclean, yet keeps me alive. My hometown's my hometown life, its spirits inside. My hometown's alive and filled with the light unfaded that I created. My hometown's alive. My hometown life. My hometown's alive. My hometown What's up, everybody? It's Sully from Godsmack, as you know, because you're on my page, and we are back here with another episode of Hometown Sessions right from the Godsmack headquarters, somewhere north of Boston. I'm really, really excited today to bring on this guest. He's become such a dear friend of mine over the years, and I think is probably considered one of the best, heaviest, and most amazing rock singers out there today. You guys have seen us on tour together many times. But before I introduce him, let me show you about 60 seconds of what this guy does.
Be a simple kind of man. Be something you love and understand. Tell my mother, tell my father, I've done the best I can to make them realize this is my life. I hope they understand, 'cause it's about to get heavy. It's about to be on. Yeah, man, slinging napalm. So nobody move, 'cause I was sent to warn you. The devil's in the next room.
That's right. Please welcome Brent Smith from Shinedown. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Should we tell everybody though a little bit, like we've been talking to each other about this and like leading up to this moment in time? Because I'm like, I got nervous all of a sudden. You're like introing me and everything. I'm like, holy crap! All the hair standing
When
up.
we
I'm
do
like,
it here, man, we do it right.
I love it.
You
It's
think
awesome.
I'm gonna give you anything less than that, man?
No,
Dude,
man. I mean, there is no hype. It's super, super real.
Nah.
I'm jazzed, man. Thanks for
Yeah.
letting me be a part of this.
Yeah, man. We're in the Godsmack headquarters right now, so I wanted to make a good music surrounding, a good rock and roll surrounding for you on this show.
I
so.
gave you extended stay Marriott's finest. I put this on the shelf for you. I had to go into a couple of other rooms to get some stuff. I just didn't think the ambiance was that good, so I like just added this.
Are you at a Marriott right now?
I am. I'm in California right now. Been quarantined for the last like almost 14 weeks.
Wow.
In an extended stay hotel in Ventura.
Wow.
I'm in California. There's worse places I could be. You know, it is sunny. It's nice, but we're also in the midst of a pandemic, so
Yeah.
you kind of have to weigh it out.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, man, really, honestly, it's really good seeing you again. It's been a little while because, since the tour, we ended the tour. I haven't really seen any of you guys since then, but
We've all been busy.
we've all been busy, man. And I just wanted to ask you first, like, and we're doing, we're trying not to get too deep into the COVID talks because people are trying to
Totally.
get away from this crap. But at the same time, I am counting on some of my friends, people like yourself or whatever, to help some of these people out. At least give them a little bit of advice on maybe the things you're doing to pass time and
Yeah.
some things that they could probably do to pass a little time, because some people are kind of getting freaked out about this. It's been going on for a while, and
Yeah.
they may already have some kind of like mental health issues going on to begin with, anxiety, fears in general, and this is triggering it even more. And
Yeah.
I do want to tell the people that are watching right now too, if you don't mind me saying, I know something
Go
you're
for it.
proud of, that Brent's been sober for a while now, and he had his run with a lot of the dark side. And I wanted to ask you how you're dealing with the isolation stuff so far, and also to help people understand too maybe what they can do if they are battling with the stuff, whether it's like addiction or those kind of fears and anxieties.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with the isolation, I'm an only child. So, like, when I was growing up, I had no problems, like, hanging out with myself because I kind of had to entertain myself growing up. I lived in, like, an area where there wasn't a lot of kids growing up. Like, when I went to school and stuff like that, obviously I was around other kids. But, growing up until I got into, like, middle school, I was totally cool by myself. So the isolation doesn't necessarily bother me that much. Obviously, I keep myself busy with a lot that's going on in my personal life and in the career of the band and what have you. But I mean, one thing that has held true for me is, back in 2012, when I decided to get fit and I decided to start working out and I just started to, really look at, how I eat and my diet and all those factors, that really changed a lot of things for me. Because once I started realizing how important fitness was just for not only my physicality and my physical fitness, but also for my mental fitness.
Yeah.
It's really important. And I know that you also, I mean, you train, and I know that you've done, you know, countless, like you box, don't you? Or you have boxed before and
Yeah.
trained. Like, you train like hard.
Well, I just try to stay in shape like everyone else because, I mean, listen, we're both singers, we're both frontmen. Our shows
Yeah.
are not like, we don't just stand there like, like statues. Like, it's a pretty high energy show most of the time with us. And I have no choice. It's not that, and let me tell you this too, for the people out there that listen to this part, because a lot of people, it's just hard for them to get motivated, especially right now, because they don't
Right.
even have a gym to go to, even if they wanted to work out. So they
Right.
kind of have to rely on jumping jacks, push-ups, and some kind of like PX90 thing on
The
their
beautiful
DVD.
thing about that circuit training, man, you only need like 8x8, 6x6 space, man. Your body weight, man, you can do a lot with just your body.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
I also been trying to encourage people too that, like, listen, man, we get it. This thing has killed a lot of people, but so doesn't the flu every year. And it's a super flu. It spreads like wildfire, but this is an Armageddon. It's not going to wipe us out. So don't be afraid to get out and go for a walk. If running isn't your thing, if boxing isn't your thing, if you're not a weightlifter, there's no reason why you can't just get out of your house, breathe in some air. This isn't an airborne virus. Get
No.
out and socialize, and like, you can do that you don't have to be on someone's face to be able to talk to them. So just get out and move the blood around and feel a little bit better. And by the way, how many people always complain like, oh, I have no time to get in shape. I have no time to work out. I have no time to spend with my kids. Well, there you go. The universe just gave you a
got
little
time
gift.
now.
Totally.
I still too, like to this day, man, there's something that I do, and it's very, very simple because every day is different. I was even saying to a friend of mine earlier today, this week in particular felt way faster than last week.
Yeah.
Because more is starting to move. Once again, with media and what have you, we're actually starting to see finally some positivity, like some positive news stories now.
Yeah.
But there's something that I do, and it works for me, man. Like when I wake up in the morning, there's that moment where like my eyes open up, alarm goes off, what have you, and I'll just kind of like take a deep breath. And sometimes, I could just be tired. I could just want to lay in bed. I'm like, I'll get up later or what have you. But dude, I literally, in my mind, I just count from 3 to 1, man. And I just go 3, 2, 1, move.
Get up.
I just come, and I actually physically just say move. And
Totally.
as I say move, man, I just get up.
Yep.
Because once you get going, man, it only takes 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
True.
once you're up, you kind of shake the cobwebs out of your head, once again, that blood flow is super important, man. You're not, human beings were not meant to sit down all day.
Right.
I mean, back in the day, we were running, I think we were probably running away from dinosaurs or something. You know what I mean? We're having to run for our lives, So
totally.
You're not meant to just sit still. You got to get out and you got to move.
It's the hardest thing to do when you're unmotivated, is to try to get motivated to do something that you're not that good at yet, because some people just haven't worked out yet, or that kind of thing. But I will promise you, and Brent and anybody who takes care of themselves and works out, we will probably say the same thing. We don't love getting up and dragging our ass to a gym and all that shit. But once you do it, the fact is you'll have energy for the whole day, and it really does make you feel better. So there's so many times too, man. Listen, I'm getting older too, and I got a boxing
I don't want
trainer.
to hear that because
Oh,
I know how
bullshit.
old you are. And
I'm older than you.
You barely look like you're 30.
But
And I know how old you are.
I'm not. That's the point. And the
That's
bones,
because you take care of yourself.
the bones fucking know I'm not 30, man. And so I get up too, and I'm really sore or banged up from boxing with my trainer and doing different things because, it takes a minute to get out of bed and like hear all the cracks and creaks and straighten up. But I'll get down there, and sometimes I'll be like, man, I'm really tired. I don't think I'm going to work out, but I'm going to go and I'm just going to like stretch. Right? And then that turns into like, all right, I'm going to jump rope a little bit. And then that turns into like, I'm going to hit the bag. And next thing you know, I'm soaked and I'm working out again. And then I have great energy for the day. And I'm so glad I did it because I was dragging ass to start with, and that's how it would have been for the day. I would have been just dragging ass for the day. So, for people who don't know that part, you really should just get motivated because this is the time to do it. If you're not going to do it now when you have no excuses to not, then you're never going to do it. So
you bring up a good point too when you say if you've not been on a program or it's been quite a bit since you've just been physical, it's the apprehension of starting. But look, it's not like when you start in 7 days you're going to be able to do a Spartan race. That's not what it's about.
Right. Yep.
Each day you push a little harder, and
Yep.
each day you add another rep.
Yep.
You know, and each day, I mean, and there's an interesting. I wish I could remember the guy's name. I'll figure it out, and we'll figure it out here together probably. But Joe Rogan had a guy on just recently. And I'd never heard about this concept. It's called flow, and it's literally FLOW. Flow is basically the idea of, instead of just destroying yourself 5 days a week and doing these crazy hour and a half, 2 hour, just intense cardio, intense muscle training, and then you're wiped for like one full day, and then you have like a stretch day, but you're always waking up sore. The guy's like, you probably have to take a lot of time off in between 365 days. But in flow, it's the idea of not as many reps, but every single day, and adding different exercises each day to where you've trained 365 days without really taking a break, because you didn't beat the hell out of your body. It's a very interesting concept in regards to like working out. But even that, man, it's blood flow, man. Like, it's circulation, it's oxygen to your, to your brain, your heart, your lungs. You're gonna feel better, man.
You're gonna feel better. And by the way, you need to do something to pass time, because right now this thing's a mess. I think me and you are two of the people. I just actually spoke with Aaron Lewis not too long ago too, and he's another one. Like, he's not super freaked about this thing. It's a big giant annoyance for most of us. But the point is that it's just time to not make excuses, and we have to pass time, because the one thing that it is a mess, and it's going to take some time to clean up. And until we're back to normal, you might as well do these things and check off the list and get in shape and do your yard work or whatever you're going to do, because if you don't, you're going to go crazy and stir inside your head while you're trying to pass time, because it's going to feel like it takes forever to get through this thing, right? So
I would rather see the world 3 months, 6 months from now coming up out of this together, and everybody not being 50 pounds heavier. How about we come up out of this 50 pounds lighter and healthy and strong,
emotionally stronger.
Right.
Right.
And your immune system, man, your cells need to regenerate. The more cardiovascular work you do, that's going to help your body, and it's going to make your immune system strong. I mean, there's, like you said, there's no excuse right now not to start getting healthy and start getting in shape.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, one of the things that I wanted to tell you was, again, we've known each other for a while now. It's been really cool to just get to know all you guys over the years. And I think there's always been this mutual respect. And now the band's playing at the level we play at, there's always this kind of friendly competition too that goes on. Cause I know you guys watching the fucking charts too, as our songs creep up into the top 10. And then we see you guys sneak past us with like, motherfuckers, 2 spots ahead of us. And
I love that though. That's healthy competition. That's awesome.
It is. It's fun. But I do want to tell you, man, from me to you, because there's been a lot of times, even on tour, we never get to sit down for too long and just chat as bros, And I want to just tell you, I really, really appreciate you and admire you as a singer. You're such a great rock vocalist, and you're such a well-groomed singer.
Thank you.
And for me, we talked about this not too long ago. I'm a hack that's fooled everybody for a long time. I've somehow twisted. Now listen, I've twisted the system in a way where like I was, and I don't know what your background is, but you can tell us in a second. But for me, I had no former vocal training or anything like that. Everything, with the exception of the drums, for me, I've had to self-teach myself. Piano, guitar, vocals, and just kind of, that's how I am. I can't read a manual and figure out how to start the engine, right? But if someone gives me a screwdriver, I'll get in there and fuck with everything until I get the car running, and then I'm like, boom, I got it. And so that's what I've done over the years, was just figured it out and tried to figure out where my strength was and how I could play into that. But I wanted to know from you, like, how did it start for you? Did you have training? And like, when did you start actually singing and know that like this is where you were going?
Well, I appreciate all those compliments, and the feeling is mutual. And you are the furthest thing from a hack. You're a total badass. You know that. But it started from birth. I've never really been trained. I've gone to certain instructors that are known in the industry, like Jan Smith. I've met her before in Atlanta. Who's pretty famous for teaching like Justin Bieber and Usher and a lot of R&B. And also a couple other people here and there. But it's interesting, when I was, I think I was 13, I got a VHS, and it was a 20-minute VHS of the singer of the band Nitro. Now, I know I'm dating myself here, but the reality is this guy, the same band that, Michelangelo, that singer did this 20-minute warm-up. And I remember watching that and seeing what he was doing, and I mimicked it because he was doing scales and different things to kind of check your voice out and what have you. His 10-minute warm-up, this many years later, it's the same warm-up I've done since I was like
Really?
13 years old. Yeah.
Wow.
And but the vocal part of it was when I was a teenager, pretty much around like 13 to 15 years old, I was heavily influenced by punk rock and like hardcore punk rock. And, a lot of like underground metal that wasn't really known at the time. I would pull bootlegs, and I would know friends that had older brothers that could get me these really just off the wall bootlegs from all over the world, these cassettes, and just angry, like men and women, front men, just like crazy stuff. And one day my dad walked into my room I think I was probably 14 and a half. And my dad is one of the coolest people on the planet. And he literally like turned the stereo down and said, "Son, I have no idea what these people are so mad about." Because it was just always screaming and heavy guitars and all this kind of stuff. And he was like, "I don't get it. I don't know what they're so, pissed off about." And I'm like, "All right, Dad, whatever." And he's like, "Can I give you something?" And I was like, "What?" So he hands me a tape. I never looked at that tape for like another 2 weeks. So I was like 2 weeks after that. I throw it in the corner. Whatever, Dad. I'm cleaning my room because I was probably told to at that time. A couple of weeks later, I came across that tape that he had given me. And it was an anthology tape of a guy named Otis Redding. And when I put it in and pushed play on it, an entirely new world opened up.
Wow.
Because I'd never heard anyone use their voice as an instrument.
And he's got a big one.
Yeah, because Otis
hold on. That sounded weird. He's got a big voice.
He had a huge voice.
A huge voice. That's what I meant.
Either way, well, he was probably packing too.
Yeah, man. I don't know. He might have had a big one.
You know what I mean? So, the thing is like, Otis Redding got me to Sam Cooke, which got me to Al Green, which got me to Percy Sledge, which got me to Nina Simone, Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, and so on and so forth. The door of Motown got open, R&B, that entire world got open to me, and soul music. And so I'm taught by not only those kinds of singers, but I also remember Appetite for Destruction, and my parents would go out on Friday nights and leave me alone, because a date night, what have you. And our garage in the house I grew up in, it had a great reverb when the cars were out. So it just sounded nice in there. Yeah. I would take a boombox, man, and play Appetite front to back.
Really?
And sing it until I could hit the notes.
Wow.
That's kind of like Axl Rose kind of helped me figure out how to sing high.
Get your range, yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously the grit came later with Chris Cornell. Anyone that's heard me knows that I was very, very much influenced by all of the Seattle sound, but I take from everybody, man. You know what I mean? Because I've learned something different. I don't necessarily know if you can train somebody how to sing. Me and you have spoken about this before. You made a good point about it. We were having a conversation the other day about it, where your first album is something that I just think is amazing. The songwriting, the way the record sounds, knowing the behind the scenes of how you made that record, and just your vocal, because to you might have been trying to figure it out, but you can hear that. You can hear it in that first album of yours, your whole life, like we were talking about, your whole life to get to that moment. Totally. And you were going for it, man. And you might have thought that maybe you were trying to figure it out. But when I heard you, I heard a guy that was massively confident. Wow. And it shows on that album. That's why that album still to this day sounds amazing.
Wow. Well, thank you. I know what I was trying to figure out was how to stay in fucking key, because that was a challenge in itself. I literally went from getting off the drums to going to Robbie. Like, we couldn't find a singer. I told you this. We were coming out of that era where everyone was singing high. I don't have a high voice. I'm a tenor. Like I thank God for the Eddie Vedders and the people like that were, the Scott Weilands and that they brought back that Elvis style,
Yeah.
deeper tones, because otherwise I'd have been screwed. But, it was really just a matter of like going, I think I'm going to try to do this, and then we'll find a drummer. And I got to tell you, the first time we wrote our first batch of songs, it wasn't even the record that it was actually a demo called The Scam. And
Right.
and so I went in there and I did all the drums, and Tony did the guitar, and Leo, whoever it was at the time, and Robbie did the bass, and then I stepped into the vocal booth for the first time. And I got to tell you, dude, I swear to you, this is a true story. The second I fucking opened my mouth, I watched Robbie walk right out of the studio, and I go, "Hey, I'm going to get it. Just give me a second. I got to fucking warming up,
That's like, so the
He was
very
out.
first time something came out and Robbie just bolted?
Well, as soon as I tried to phrase something and, you got to follow the curve of the song and the melody, he went, "Oh, yeah, okay, bye." And I'm like, oh, he was gone. I'm like, fuck, I'll get it. And then finally, that's when I was like, I got to work at this, man. I'm not very good. What I was good at is I had a good grit to my voice. I had a good growl, like that Hetfield style, but I just wasn't like singing yet. And so the first stuff to me, when I hear that record, I hear a lot of, a kid trying to sing. And like I said before, a lot of pain, because that was my whole life story in that first album, as most of ours is,
Yeah.
And I'm a fan of most people's first record anyways, because to me, that is the grit. That's the heart and soul of that person, especially the vocalist that's telling the story. If you're a person like me that writes about things that have affected you on an emotional level, then you can learn a lot about someone's life and what they went through by listening to their first record, right?
Especially, we talked about that too. You'll get your whole life to do your first album. You're going to probably get 6 months to do your next one.
Yeah. That's
Especially if your first record is successful.
Right. Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened, I think, probably to both of us.
Yeah. What's going on with you guys now? So I know the globe has been, we've paused it, but I would assume you guys are going to be ramping up to either deliver something new or get out on the road next year, or are you going to do stuff this year? What are you guys doing?
So right now, what's going on is 2020 for us, regardless, was a creative year. We had only planned on doing 30 shows this year, which we were actually supposed to be on tour in April and May. We were able to move that tour. It's called the Deep Dive Tour, to August and September. And as of right now, we've been able to keep the schedule good. Nothing has been canceled. And all those shows, as of right now, they're slated to, for us to be there, and because we're ready to play them. But me and Zach were working on a second Smith & Myers record, which is a side project that me and him do. But this is way more, it's a double record. So it's 10 covers and then it's 10 original songs.
Oh, that's fucking cool, man.
And then, because we did it as kind of like a thing for fans back in the day in 2014. There's 2 EPs that you can get, like, you can find them on YouTube, and you can find it on like Apple Music and Spotify and stuff like that.
Is it a full production, or is it acoustic?
It's 2. So the first thing was it was 2 EPs, so 5 songs each, and they were 10 songs that are cover songs. But the audience, the fan base, picked the songs that we covered.
But the one you're doing now, is it going to be acoustic covers?
So the one now is, it's a vocal and a guitar, or it's a vocal and a piano. But we've added a couple more things. There's not a full-on drummer or anything like that.
Oh, cool.
But there's a couple of accent sounds outside of just, one instrumentation and 2 vocals. So that's been something that we 17 of the 20 are done, and then things happened. We needed to get Zach back to Memphis when all this was kind of going down. So we got 3 left to do. We filmed the show at the O2 Arena when we were on tour last year with Alter Bridge. So the last show was at the O2 in London. So we filmed that show, and we actually just sent it off to the front of house engineer for Gojira, this gentleman by the name of Johan Meyer. He's actually doing the mix right now on that. So we're going to put that out probably pretty soon, just for people to have it. And then I'm planning on leaving here on June 1st. And I'm going to go check on my parents, in the flesh, my mom and my dad and my granny, make sure that they're good. And then I'm going to run to Florida, be with my son for a moment. And then I'm heading to Charleston, South Carolina with Eric and myself and Barry and Zach. And we're going to start writing for Shinedown 7.
Wow, we're gonna be right on the same course again. It seems like
I'm stoked.
for 21, man. Here we go again. Fucking, we gotta start.
So do me a favor. So my favorite song from the new album, When Legends Rise, my favorite song is the one you're working right now. So
Unforgettable.
tell me, I know that we're talking back and forth here. How did that song come about?
Well, it's funny.
That's my favorite song on the record.
Thanks.
I love that. I mean, I love the whole record, but
it's become one of mine too to play live. But it was one of those moments, and I know you'll relate to this, where we were done writing and we were done recording. We were in the mixing phase of the record, and Bulletproof was already mixed and out the door, so radio could service it. And we were finishing our mixes, and then I walked in one day, and this melody started going through, and I'm like, okay, I got to grab this. And we worked on it, and it was one of those songs that was like written and done in a day, you know, those that come and go in 6 hours and you finish. You're like, wow, that was easy. But it was funny that you asked me about this specific song, and I'll tell you why. Because you crossed my mind during the song when I wrote it and the melody started to come together. And then, you know, a song will kind of dictate what it needs. It talks to you, you know? And for me, it was saying, okay, this chorus and the woes and all that needs to be a big gang vocal kind of thing. So I rounded up the boys, and we're trying to like do the gang vocal thing, and it just wasn't sounding thick enough, right? And that's when I was like, you know what this really needs, man? I feel like it's supposed to be like a kid chorus. Yeah. And then I go, shit, man, I don't want to do a kid chorus because everyone's been doing kid choruses. Like POD has a good one. That we are.
Youth of the Nation, man, it's a legendary
and you guys
song.
had a good one, and Pink Floyd had a good one. I'm like, fuck it. We don't have one in our portfolio. We're just going to do it, right? And so that's how the journey started. In the first episode of this show, actually, on Hometown Sessions, I featured not only the video that we shot, but I brought on the middle school kids that actually recorded it with us.
That's awesome.
And they had a good time because we took them on this 2-year journey where, you know, we brought them in, they learned the song, they recorded the song, and then when we came through on tour, we brought them up on stage, and 20 of them sang it live with us, and they got this great, like, high five from the audience, and I brought them into New York City at one point and showed them a little bit more about the business and the industry if they want to pursue this more. This is kind of what that's about.
Didn't you bring them to New Hampshire when we were touring together?
Yeah, that's where they played on. They came on stage with us. Yeah, that's right. That was our tour. That's right. And then all the way through, you know, actually making this video, and obviously when it came to the video, I wanted to amplify the visuals, so we went and got like 35 drummers and 300 middle school kids, and so the video became a documentary of the journey these kids came along with us, and it became very little about Godsmack and more about the voice of these kids, the inspiration of these kids, how they're the new generation. And I wanted the adults and the corporations and the Grammys and the schools of America to hear it from the kids, how important music is to them. Right. And it's a perfect segue into what I was going to ask you about, which is, you know, it's been a little frustrating for me over the years. And by the way, I am a huge supporter of the Grammys. I'm a huge supporter of Music Cares. I'm always supporting their events. I do my part when they ask us to do anything, because what they do, I think the causes that they stand for are really great and are needed, especially within the artist industry, because so many of us fall into the severe depressions or the addictions or the suicidal tendencies and things like that. And as you know, we've lost some amazing people along the way. So for those things, I think, you know, it really is strong for what they stand for. But I also get frustrated because when I see an entity like that, that is the elite award show for musicians, they're the Oscars for musicians, and at least that's what they were. And yet they cut a hard rock category out as if it's invalid, as if the Beatles and the Elvises and the Zeppelins and the Rolling Stones of the world are all of a sudden not relevant in shaping our history in rock music.
You know, they write songs that rock and roll ain't noise pollution. And as Lemmy would say, you know, rock and roll is about scaring the hell out of your parents. You know what I mean? And rock and roll is about a spirit. When NWA was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, there was protest against that. And I was like, why? You know, Ice Cube gets up there and could not have said it any better, man. He was like, rock and roll is a spirit.
Yeah.
It's a community. And I agree with him on that because, and if the Grammys are going to take those kind of categories or push them off to the side, you know, if that rock and roll still has that kind of danger that still freaks them out.
Yeah.
That's pretty rock and roll too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's an award is great. It means that somebody you're getting recognition.
Acknowledged.
You're getting recognition for your craft because I know that you and me come from the same school when it comes to if you do something in life that you love, you'll never work a day in your life. You know what I mean? And what we do, it's a lot of hard work, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Well, but that plays into my point though, Brent, because if we're all in this together, right? I don't care if it's me, you, Post Malone, Jimmy Page, or whoever the fuck you want to name, Madonna, I don't care who it is, right? Lady Gaga, whatever. We're all out there. We're spending so much time away from the people we really love. We're spending so much time away from our families. We're always in it for the fans. We're always in it for the live entertainment. We're always in it for the art. We love what we do, and we don't complain about it. But yet I feel like it's just been so weighted towards one genre for so long that like, and by the way, not even rock music, by the way, but like, where's the other genres in this thing? Like, where's the rhythm and blues and where's
They've definitely had about a 5 to 6 year identity crisis maybe because they're just trying to go with the trend though. Also, the internet has a big part of that. Social media has a big part of that. I hear what you're saying 100%. You make a good point though, man.
But that plays into my point, you know, like it's not those people that I have a problem with. I like a lot of that kind of music. I just wish if the Grammys are supposed to be honoring the industry, then you got to bring some balance to the fucking industry because that is making me bananas. And the show has just become theater. And I'm just like, I just want the Grammys back because I really enjoyed the Grammys just like I enjoy the Oscars, you know? And I just wish they could just find that balance again because right now they don't have it. It's just such an old school model and they just need to freshen it up and whatever. I'm going to get off it because I don't want to take your Grammy away when you win one on your next record. I
can't wait to actually, you know what? I'm going to foresee the future. I can't wait for the day I actually get to give you your Grammy.
Oh yeah. Okay. Sure. Now, after all this shit, after me calling them out, this ain't going to happen.
No. Mark my words.
Listen, Grammys, I'm going to end it here. Grammys, if you're listening, if you ever get a hold of this little section, all I'm saying is, please, a little equality. It would help.
Yeah, give us some guitars back.
Yeah, well, it's coming either way. Even in pop music, you're starting to hear guitars again, right?
Hell
it's like rock and roll will never die. End of story. Good night. That's how it goes, man.
That's the beautiful thing about rock and roll, man.
And a friend of mine, by the way, you know Mistress Carrie from AAF, even though they're gone now, whatever, right? She started this new whole podcast thing, and it's pretty cool. But, you know, she was even saying, hey, man, even hip-hop really wouldn't have the light shined on it that it did if it wasn't for rock because ask Run DMC what broke all that stuff through with Aerosmith, right? So
absolutely.
There you go. All right, so I'm going to play a little game with you before we go.
Okay.
The game, I just made it up on the spot the other day. Okay. I like the title, so I'm going to keep it. It's called Don't Bullshit Me because I've fucking been there too. That's the whole
I love that. Good point.
It's a family show.
Yeah. I love the Bostonian in you, which is rad.
Don't bullshit me, because I've done it too. No, I haven't done it, but I've been there. What I try to do is I try to think of a few questions that people wouldn't necessarily know to ask us in our regular interviews, like, because they ask us the same shit over and over again on tour.
Sometimes,
bananas. Although Europeans, for some reason, in Japanese, they got like these amazing, unique questions they pull out, right? And I go, how the fuck did you know that? And they make it really fun. Sometimes in America, the journalists, I'm like, are you guys reading off the same script all the time? Because if one more person asks me where the fuck I came up with the name of this band, I'm going to
The Wikipedia.
Oh my
God. It's always the Wikipedia.
It's like, come on, man. It's been 25 years. Go read any Metal Hammer magazine. Okay, so first question. And you can't bullshit me. You just
Come on, man.
You gotta answer it. This isn't about sabotaging you, and it's not about sabotaging fans. This has nothing to do with the people, okay?
I can't wait. I'm over here dancing.
Straight up.
I can't wait.
I want to know straight up, because I know there's one of them out there, maybe multiple. What is the creepiest city that you tour through that you, when you get there, it just creeps you out? Not the people, but there's just a vibe to it that you go, I fucking hate coming here.
There's a few of them.
Me too.
Yeah, there's a few of them. Oh man. That's a tough one though, man. How do I?
I'll give you one of mine just to get you rolling.
Okay.
Milwaukee. Fucking creeps me out. Because the first
Because
time
of Dahmer?
the first time I rolled down there, dude, that shit just went down. It was right around 92, 93. I was touring with a punk metal band called Strip Mine, playing drums. And we were staying right across from the Eagle Ballroom, which I know you've played.
Yeah.
In that hotel. And
the rave. That's because it's like got the 3 levels with the, yeah.
So you know the hotel right across the street?
That was, yeah.
That's on the same block. His apartment was on the other side, the other block, the other corner.
Yeah.
And I had some weird shit go down with me there. Just weird, freaky shit. And then hearing all the stories, and I don't know, man, there's something about when I get to Milwaukee, I'm just like, you know what? I want to just do this show and get to the fucking next city.
Right.
So I know there's one of them out there for you.
I'm trying to think of exactly like whether it's in the U.S. or whether I can think of the ones that are like international that we've been, but that we've gone to a bunch, man. For whatever reason, and I don't want to call the club out, but there's a town called Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and they have a club there and it has nothing to do with the town, and it really doesn't have anything to do with the club because the club has been it's like old school. All kinds of bad things have happened in there. They know that all kinds of bad things have happened in there, but they refuse to do any kind of maintenance. They refuse to like put any kind of like new structure in it or anything like that. And sometimes in Lancaster, it just seems like on those blocks through there, every time we would play there, the crowds started getting bigger for us. This is like, we haven't played in that particular club, probably since, I think me and Zach did it like when we did our first run on the Smith and Meyer stuff, but that would have been like 2014. But everybody knows what I'm talking about. Lancaster, Pennsylvania can be a little funky. That's one place that's a little funky.
Yeah, for me, it's Milwaukee and New Orleans. I've went through some heavy shit there.
New Orleans, you?
Yes.
You of all people.
I wrote a song about an experience I went through in New Orleans, man, and I'll share.
Let me have it. I don't know this.
It's too long to get into right now, but next time me and you are out there together rolling again, I'll share it with you someday. We'll sit down in the dressing room.
Does it have something to do with like? Did you like actually hang out with Marie Laveau or something?
No, man. I went through this like what do you call it when you have realized that you might have lived in another place in another life.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It was one of those moments for me.
One of those.
It was heavy, man.
Were you okay?
But I was drinking a lot back then too, so I don't know what the fuck.
When you were having the moment, were you younger or older?
This was like another lifetime ago. This was like realizing that the song Realign on the Faceless record is about this experience I had, realizing that I was in a place where I may have lived and died in another lifetime. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
and it was very real to you.
It was fucking heavy, dude. But I was a mess back then too. I was drinking like badly, and I went through the whole thing. It was just crazy. I'll tell you about another time.
Of all places, I would have never thought New Orleans for you, especially with your background.
A lot of people ask me about different songs, as I'm sure they do you, and what they meant to you, where you were at that point in your life, what it means to you, whatever. And Realign is on the Faceless record, and that song is actually about that experience I went through in New Orleans. And then after that, I had to roll through there a couple more times, and I got to tell you, I did not do well. There was actually one time that I had to cancel because I got really sick out of nowhere. Rolling through there, same thing. I got this weird shit started happening to me, and then it was right down to the wire. We were doing a House of Blues show, and the intro was rolling. And
in New Orleans?
They carted me off in a van right to the hospital. I had to get out. And then once I get out of the city, the outskirts of the city, phoom, it went away. It was like, it's always weird shit like that. So I don't know.
Interesting.
I'm just sensitive to energies and things like that. So it's a little.
That's what I mean. It's very interesting because I know a bit of your background with that kind of stuff. So I would have never in a million years thought New Orleans would have been like that.
Well, New Orleans has an energy to it anyways. And I think most
I
people will agree, right? And whether it's a bad energy or a good energy or a funky energy, it's got an energy to it. And it's just one of those places that if you're sensitive to those kind of things, you feel it when you get there because there's something about that city that's just like, I don't know, man. I always find myself taking deep breaths and like.
Every time I've ever been to New Orleans, though, I find that because Barry, our drummer, he's very into that, very, very into that culture. And he loves that city. But every time I go into that city, man, because I've been in that city when I've just been out of my mind, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've been in that city, you know, when I'm in a better headspace. Every time I go there now, I actually feel lifted up when I'm there. Back in the day, I was just high.
Yeah, I definitely worked through whatever it was, but I'm very careful when I go there because there's just something about it that just affects me somehow energy-wise, and it's just weird. And I mean, I've rode through there playing the smallest of shows and the biggest of the arenas, and I just always, there's just something, it's like just tapping me going, just be careful. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I gotta get out of here. So
what's the one place for you personally that you make sure when it's time to go out and tour? What's the one place where you're like, we go here no matter what, every single time we tour, there's not up for discussion, we're going to this place. This is one of my favorite places in the world.
There's a bunch for me, but I love I love the audiences in my hometown. I love the audiences in KC, Indianapolis, Detroit. You know, they have great rock crowds.
What about internationally? Like, what are the cities where you're like, we're going here no matter what?
Yeah, I love touring on the eastern board of Europe. The Russias, the Bulgarias, all the Polands, all that stuff. For some reason, I mean, I love all of Europe, by the way. I've been there enough now that there was certain places at the beginning that I was just like, you know, some places I really loved. The other places were just a little bit too hard. Because back in the day when you first started rolling through there, it was a little bit different too. The internet wasn't quite what it was. The language barrier was a little harder to get through. Now it's a lot more friendly and universal in that sense. So everything's kind of been balancing, whether it's London, Germany, or whatever. But I really do love that Eastern board as well. And I say that because when I first started going to Europe, I heard so many negative things about that side, you know, and about like Russia and America weren't going to get along, and they stand there in front of the stage with machine guns and whatever. And I'm going, what the fuck? I don't want to go there. And then I went there and I'm like, these are some of the best people ever that I've ever met. Like, I love that side of Europe. But what the fuck? How did this game turn into me answering questions?
No, we're just hanging out.
Next question.
You said it was going to be free flowing.
Yeah, well, YouTube cuts us off in 1 hour and 4 minutes, so let's get on with this shit.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. So, what's the sickest you've ever been on tour and actually sang through the show?
2010, on the Sound of Madness touring cycle of that album. Houston, Texas. I had 104 temperature.
Wow. COVID.
I think it was. I think what I had was probably alien to that. The interesting thing was that we were in Houston, Texas. We were playing the Verizon, not where they have the Buzz Fest every year, but it was the other side of the Woodlands because it was in Houston proper, and it was the Verizon Theater, so about 4,000 people, but we were the second act to ever play that building. It had just opened and totally sold out. And I had the flu. Ooh. And I don't remember playing the show at all.
Even when you say the word the flu, I want to put the mask on.
But the only reason I know that it happened is because it was actually filmed by the house that night when we played. But and it's interesting too because like weeks later we got a CD of it and we were like, what is this? And like we put it in and I was all over the place singing like a banshee, hitting all my marks. I was there. I have no memory of it.
Wow.
Barry said that I walked off stage and collapsed outside.
Wow.
And they and I slept for 2 days.
Wow. Well, good for you for plowing through it, man.
I remember that very vividly.
So here's the second part to the question. How many times did you fake being sick because you didn't want to go on stage?
I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna say something, and there'll be some people.
Don't incriminate yourself. Be careful.
I've never done that. I really haven't, man.
Good for you.
I have never ever purposely tried to not go on stage.
Awesome. Well,
I can't even. No, I don't even have. No, I've never done that.
Good. Because I
Some
swear
people would have said you should have done that. Because
I'm dying to see the person that's going to be like, oh, I did figure this out, because I'm going to go, oh, shit, you better watch out for that insurance policy now, fucker. But I asked Nuno the same question, and then some people were lighting up the screen, and they're like, oh, you saying you fake show, you fake sick? I will tell you this. I've never, ever, ever faked a sickness and canceled a show because, and by the way, in the 20 fucking something years that I've been touring, I think maybe I've canceled less than 5 shows. Like I have just never, I've been blessed with never blowing out my voice. I've never lost my voice. The only time that it's affected it, I know, right?
Yeah.
Is when I've been sick, right? And it always sucks singing through the flu and some shit like that. But I've never canceled. I never did that. And I definitely never faked it. So here's another question. How many times did you lie to your bandmates about that you couldn't show up for rehearsal? You made up some bullshit story.
Oh my God. That would have to be like.
You can fucking answer this one because they don't care, and you're the leader of the band.
Well, I mean, I have to go back to like the first 2. I've never done anything like that from Sound of Madness on.
Okay.
The first 2 albums, during that time frame, I mean, I'm sure there were moments. You know, those were the drinking and the, you know.
That's what I'm saying. It's that shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like those were the drinking, whatever I could chop up days.
And those are the days too that you don't actually want to go, guys, I'm really fucking hungover. I can't. Instead, you go like, oh, hey, I forgot I had to do this thing. And you're trying to like go the other way with it.
It's interesting because like after the first album, we ended up like, I had money for the first time in my life after the touring cycle on the first record. Because I didn't sign a publishing deal on Leave a Whisper, the first album. I didn't go into a publishing deal until the second album. So I was getting the publishing and the writing share. I had never seen, you know, anything like that. So I remember we had this rehearsal space in Jacksonville, Florida that was basically on the other side of the private airport, where like private planes would come in. Don't let that fool you. This like broken down shack of a studio kind of makeshift, had holes in the ceiling and stuff that I like basically bought like outright or what have you. Thought I was going to be able to put everything in there and make it all nice and everything like that. And I'm going to say this to everybody watching. Drugs are bad. Drugs are very, 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 very bad. Don't do drugs.
I'll say it this way: there is no happy ending to that movie ever.
Ever.
And that movie fucking ends the same way every time. By the way,
yes.
Yeah.
With someone dying.
Thank God it didn't for us, right? I mean, fucking got out of that shit time. Okay, last one. We're gonna let the fans vote on this too, just to see.
Okay.
You're being such a good sport. I'm feeling brave enough that I can do this with you.
Let me have it.
We're gonna show, and I want you to tell me what out of these top 4 pictures, we'll call your presence right now number 5. Okay, but number 1.
My presence being the way I am right now.
Yeah, right now your look.
Okay.
We're gonna call that the 5th option, but I'm gonna give you the other top 4. Okay, best haircuts that you've ever had.
Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit about this one?
That right there was, I had brown hair.
Who do you see when you see that guy?
I see.
Let's do a little therapy here.
I see drugs. I had long brown hair for like the longest time, and we went to Ybor City in Tampa, and we were headlining a at the time 98 Rock, which is still the station down there, but this was early days, like 2004. And I remember I left. I had long brown hair down to here, what everybody knew me as. I went to this salon. I told this lady, I said, chop it off here, and I just want it red.
Wow.
Red and black.
That's bold.
And she was like, okay. And she did it, and I came back looking like that. That picture was actually taken about 5 days after that show.
Were you fucked up when you did it?
100%. 100%.
Well, I see a sad guy looking for love in all the wrong places, looking for love in too many. I don't know.
Too much crack cocaine.
And then we get this guy. Who's this guy? Tell me about him.
Holy moly.
Tell me about that guy.
Oh, that, my dear friend Sully, that is a gentleman by the name of Buffalo Smith.
Tell me about him.
That's about 2 or 3 days after.
He looks like a fucking badass.
I don't know, man. That picture was taken about 2 or 3. I said 2 or 3 days. About 2 or 3 weeks after the infamous Kathy Lee and Hoda show, where she basically called me Meatloaf on national television.
Shut up.
Yeah, she's like, you remind me of like a young Meatloaf.
No
and I just
way.
got done singing what was it? It was Second Chance, because we were on like Good Morning America, and I had to kind of tailor that because I didn't want to be disrespectful to Meatloaf, but still, she was like, you look, basically just saying like, you look like a fat lead singer,
But you don't look fat in that. I don't think you look fat. You look you look bikerish, like you look like you can whoop someone's ass with that belt.
Yeah, she did not think. I mean, I looked a little better, I guess, than that, but I literally remember taking that picture. That was about 2 weeks after the infamous Kathy Lee Gifford. You look like a young Meatloaf.
Wow. Well,
yeah.
as evolution has had it and time went on, there's this one that I thought was a special. That's.
Oh wow.
What's going on there? What's happening there? Oh, hold on, that's my timer.
That's an alarm for this is not a good look, dude.
That's fucking scary when the alarm goes off looking at a picture.
Yeah, that's Mayday.
Where were you? Where were you?
I was in Los Angeles, California. That's at LAX. And I that would have been I had recently, this is all true. I had recently seen a picture of Brad Pitt. And he had done, I think this was I don't want to say it was right after they did World War Z, but he had his hair cut like that. And I just thought he looked awesome. And so I basically just went in and I had him shave the sides, and instead of like combing it over like it is now, I just went straight back.
Do you get bored easy? Is that what it is? You get bored?
Like I'm a chameleon, man. Everybody
haircut board.
I changed pretty drastically now. Like, he changes. He doesn't look the same person.
See, I don't get those options because my hair's naturally curly. Like if I grew my hair out, it's like ringlet curly. It's fucking curly.
Really?
So, yeah, but you can't tell because I keep my shit short. But I gotta tell you,
even when you have a little bit of growth, it looks straight.
You know what? Just to make sure that we're even with this too, on one of these episodes, I'm gonna bring up the best 5 fucking haircuts of me, and you'll have a few laughs with that shit because I had some horror show. Fucking, I don't know why at some point someone in my life didn't go, dude, bad idea for that fucking haircut.
When did you? Let me ask you a question. I know we only got a little bit of time, but when did you had long hair? I knew that.
Oh yeah. When
did you cut it short?
Right before I started. Well, I quit music in 93, 94, I quit because I had gone through all these series of bands, and then I finally got a record deal with Sire Reprise Records with that punk metal band Strip Mine. We were a bunch of fucking degenerates. We would drugs and alcohol, no business sense, and we blew the whole thing, and the band self-destructed. And after that, I felt like I'd worked my whole life to finally get a deal, and then that was my moment. And so I just said, fuck it, I quit. And I actually went and got a job, and I was giving up music forever. And then about a year later, the bug came and bit me again, and I called up Robbie, who I knew through a mutual friend of my sister's, and that's how this thing got rolling again. But I was that close to never playing music again.
Well, I'm glad you called Robbie, man.
Okay, so last one. This is such a cute guy, too. I like this picture, but who's this guy? He's fairly recent, right?
That's probably a year ago. I would like to call that the pseudo stunt man for Jim Carrey first Dumb and Dumber film.
Yes! Ding, 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 ring the bell.
That's probably going to take number one. That one right there.
You got bells. How about a horn? You got any good horns?
You want to hear the most annoying sound
So
in the
that,
world.
by the way, that's
what that
picture
is.
number 5, people. And then the gorgeous, handsome Brent Smith, as you see him now, that will be number 5. And
Okay.
so we'll let them vote on their favorite haircut.
Awesome.
Thanks for being a good sport, though.
Hey, man. I love it. It's awesome.
Dude, I got to tell you, man, thanks so much for like coming and hanging out with me in my little isolation time of my life, which is so fucking boring right now. I want people back. Isn't it
No,
funny
man,
how
it's my
like
pleasure, man. Thanks for doing it, man. I love just hanging out with my friend, dude.
Yeah, and you really have been a great friend over the years, man, and I've really enjoyed getting to know you guys more and more. And by the way, thank Eric for me, because if it wasn't for him, I would have never met Dr. Stephen Greer, which I just turned a bunch of people on to his documentaries, and me and him have been in touch ever since, and just love that guy, man. And it's been
He's a
really
cool cat, man.
Really, it's been really interesting to hear his perspective on this whole thing and what's going on, because you remember he was a straight up emergency room doctor for a lot of years.
Yeah.
So to hear his side on this has been really unique.
That guy's
too.
got a lot of. That guy's on a different playing field, man. Guy's got a lot of. He's smart. He's
Super
got a very
smart.
interesting story.
And he's got a lot of smart people around him too, man. So I've been turning people onto them. But cool, man. So listen, stay healthy, stay
too.
safe. Good luck with the new record.
Thank you.
You know we're going to be chasing you up the charts again. So we'll see you guys.
Anytime, man. I will ride with you anytime, my man.
Hell yeah, man. And we'll see you guys, I'm sure, in 21. We need to blow out another big old tour again. I think we need to bring
Whenever,
that shit.
man.
I got to tell you, I'm going to call it out right now. I think we need to really consider bringing Godsmack Shinedown to Europe.
Hey, man. Let's just go ahead.
We
and start
talked about that
it.
at the tail end of the last tour, but we were a little
Yeah.
bit too late, and we already had plans. Each of us were going in different directions.
Well-
But I really think we brought it to the States. I really
Yep.
think we should maybe try to tackle Europe together, because we're both on the same path out there. And I really think the fans would love that show, because it was pretty banging, man, the both of us
We
together.
would.
I had a good time.
100%.
Hell yeah.
100%, man. Let's put it together, man. I'm down.
Let's do it, man. All right, brother. Listen, stay safe, stay healthy. Get out of that
You too.
hotel. Go for a walk.
I
and,
will.
We'll catch up again soon, man.
All right, my friend.
All
Be
right, brother.
safe. Be well as well. Thank you,
See you,
brother.
man. Thanks,
Bye.
buddy. See ya.
Later.
So that was Brent Smith, and I just want to thank you guys again for watching Hometown Sessions. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday trying to do something to entertain you guys, and kind of keeping you guys in touch with all the people that I know and that we hang with and tour with, and everyone in our industry. But that's all for now. We'll catch up with you guys next time. Peace out.